A great and true American hero, Mike Gravel, passed away today at 91. I first came across Mike Gravel when I started kind of getting into politics, and then, he ran for president this last go round. But I remember seeing, some of his tweets and some of the stuff he was saying back even before the last presidential primary. And then I started seeing some videos of him in the past, and I back in 2008 when he ran for president, I wasn't really. I was 12 years old, so I, didn't really know what was going on, and he wasn't like a huge figure in the media and all these things. And later on, I found out why. But I found out that he was actually speaking truth to power on the biggest stage. He was actually doing what a lot of people wanted Bernie to do this past time around. When you have somebody like Joe Biden running, something that Bernie kind of did. He did it a little bit with Hillary. He called out the corruption here and there, but once the media started, the barrage of attacks on him, acting like he was sexist, he was this and he was that, just because he wanted people to have health care. He wanted to end wars, and he wanted to do this and do that. He got that barrage of attacks, and he kind of backed down. Then he stopped saying all the corruption things. He's like, oh, I don't want to hear about the emails, even though there was a lot of stuff in the emails that proved that Hillary Clinton should never be anywhere near the presidency. The fact that they were running the DNC, et cetera, private position polls, all these things we already know. Bernie backed off of that. Mike Gravel would not have and did not. So let's show a video of him. I think it's very inspirational. This is during the 2008 Democratic debate on national TV, and now you'll see after you watch this video why they don't let people like Mike Gravel on the stage anymore, and they change the rules. They'll let someone like Mike Bloomberg on the stage, who used to be a Republican, was a Republican mayor of New York City, instituted stop and frisk, extremely racist policy, targeted black and brown people disproportionately there in New York City, never really apologized for it. Bought his way into the debates, literally paid the DNC money, bought his way into the debates. They'll let someone like that on stage, but they won't let anyone who's actually going to speak truth to power like Mike Gravel did on stage anymore. So let's take a look at what Mike Gravel had to say in the 2008 presidential primary Democratic debates, right in front of people like Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, these people that have been running the party for decades, running the party into the ground for decades, who have been pushing people, kind of sheep herding people into this party, saying that they're fighting for you, and the Republicans are so much worse, so you have to vote for us. This is really your only option. We're fighting for you. We're looking out for you, black and brown communities, poor communities, marginalized communities. We're looking out for you. That's what these people have been saying for decades in the same party that continues to deny people minimum wage, continues to not even talk about a public option, which Joe Biden promised, but continue to further entrench this horrible, rapacious healthcare system that starves poor people of care when they really need it, and forces people to not get preventative care and end up needing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of life-saving surgery that they can't afford when it's too late. That's what these people have been doing this party. This is what Mike Gravel said right to their face on stage. And it's truly, truly beautiful to watch.
People frighten me. They frighten me. When you have mainline candidates that turn around and say that there's nothing off the table with respect to Iran, that's code for using nukes, nuclear devices. I got to tell you, I'm president of the United States. There will be no preemptive wars with nuclear devices. To my mind, it's immoral, and it's been immoral for the last 50 years as part of American foreign policy.
Let's use a little moderator discretion here. Senator Gravel, that's a weighty charge. Who on this stage exactly tonight worries you so much?
Well, I would say the top tier ones. The top tier ones. They've made statements. Oh, Joe, I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their country. I got to tell you, we should just play get out. Just play get out. It's their country. They're asking us to leave, and we insist on staying there. And why not get out? What harm is it going to do? Oh, you hear the statement, well, my God, the soldiers will have died in vain. The entire deaths of Vietnam died in vain. And they're dying in vain right this very second. You know what's worse than a soldier dying in vain? is more soldiers dying in vain. That's what's worse.
I mean, there you have it. Right to his face. And you see Joe Biden sitting there laughing, right? 12 years ago when Mike Gravel's sitting there looking at him and saying the truth about him and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, that they always want to continue to do more and more war, which after Barack Obama won that primary and won the presidency, he went on to do. Do I need to remind you of Libya and Syria and Somalia and Yemen and all these other places that he continued to drop bombs on constantly? So Mike Gravel was completely correct with what he says. But what are they doing? They're standing up there laughing. And then what do you have the mainstream media, talking head, Brian Williams, the one who had to apologize because he said he took helicopter fire. I think when he was, I can't remember if it was Vietnam or where it was. I think it might have been Iraq. But he said he took rocket fire and he didn't. And so he had to come out and apologize for it because he lied. Right? He lied, and he still gets to this day still be on MSNBC. So when you lie constantly, whether you're, senator or any type of politician, or you're a media figure in the mainstream, there are no consequences for that. There are no consequences for that. And in fact, you get rewarded. In fact, if you're someone like Joe Biden, who's lied your entire career, who's always acted like you're middle-class Joe, but you've always legislated to screw over the middle class. You legislate things like the bankruptcy bill so that the one thing that always follows you till you're dead is your student loans, and you can't default on, you can't declare bankruptcy on those. They go with you till you die. They'll pass on to your relatives. Thank you, Joe Biden, for that. The guy that will do, when he was a senator, would do anything for their credit card companies, who would find safe haven in his state because they can avoid taxes there. That same guy, he gets rewarded with the presidency, right? And everything Mike Gravel said in that video is 100% true. And for people like me, and I know a lot of my viewers, that's the type of stuff that we want to see. We want to see people actually calling these people out for who they are. We don't want to see them saying, "Oh, Joe Biden, he's my friend. He's a good guy." He's not. Don't lie. Don't lie to my face. Don't lie to me. I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. I understand the dynamics of things. And a lot of people do out there nowadays. People get it, okay? It's hard to gaslight people, to the effect that they used to, because people have been screwed over time and time again, and you can't just keep telling these pretty lies to people and expect them to believe it, even though their life and what they're experiencing with the same things you're lying about is the complete opposite. And so, right along with what Mike Gravel was saying is that Joe Biden wants to tell people how to run their country and wants to be in this place and in that place and is essentially an imperialist. We also have stuff like this, which isn't quite as, it's not like war. It's not like dropping bombs or anything like that. But you have something like this. Cuba is ready to vaccinate the world. The 60-year-old U.S. embargo stands in the way. The embargo is not only illegal and inhumane, it is incredibly unpopular. And so 21% oppose lifting the 60-year-old embargo. 60% support it. So once again, majority of the people in the country support something. The international community came together at the UN and voted. Let me show you guys this. And voted to, let's pull this up. So this was Cuba scientists yesterday, as they found out that the vaccine they had been working on is 93% effective, among the highest in the world. So even with that embargo we have on Cuba, and their doctors and their scientists are creating vaccines with an embargo, meaning that any of our allies, they can't trade with Cuba, right? They're pretty much isolated, yet they still were able to do this. They still were able to accomplish this feat. Amazing. And, I don't think some of you understand the sheer magnitude of this news. Cuba is currently experiencing the worst outbreak of the pandemic, and the embargo has cut them off from vital resources for recovery. This vaccine will save so many lives, and they did it all on their own. And they want to vaccinate the rest of the world with this extremely effective vaccine. All these poor countries that don't have access to, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine or some of the vaccines the more wealthier countries have created, because they don't have the US dollars, right? They don't have the money, to pay for it. They can't just print, a bunch of US dollars to pay for the vaccine to save their people's lives. And they're experiencing horrible, outbreaks in a lot of these poor countries. But Cuba, a country like Cuba, very small country, relatively not wealthy country, is actually trying to say, okay, beyond the profits, we're going to actually try and help and save the rest of the world with these vaccines that have been proven to be extremely effective. We're going to actually do that. We're going to look beyond a profit motive, and we're going to actually try and help the rest of the world. Imagine Joe Biden doing that. Imagine that. Imagine a U.S. president doing that. Actually giving a shit about what happens in the rest of the world. Actually caring about other people. Actually looking beyond profit incentives and profit motives. Can you imagine that? So we need more people like Mike Gravel. We need more politicians that actually go up there and say the truth. They go on MSNBC and CNN and they don't hold anything back. They actually go out there and they say the truth. They tell the truth. They don't say what the people around them want to hear or the party leaders want to hear, or to make sure we're in the good graces of people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the worst people in the world. Been running the Democratic Party on the ground for decades. Joe Biden are ensuring another Trump comes by not doing anything to actually pass some legislation that are going to dramatically change people's lives. They had already lied about so many things, public option, $2,000 checks. They're already, behind the 8 ball when it comes to the midterms. Gerrymandering is gonna screw them over in the House. They might lose control of the government. Then nothing's gonna. So they're ensuring their own demise. And we need more people like Mike Gravel to actually go out there and say the cold hard truth. Don't hold anything back. Are you going to be ostracized for it? Of course. Are you going to be not in the good graces of the U.S. media, and you're not going to be on magazine covers? Yeah. But is that what you're in it for? Is that why you became a politician? No, you went into Congress because you're supposed to try to help people. And the way you help people is by telling people the cold hard truth, so then when a bill comes up or another election comes up, they're not gaslit into thinking that someone like Joe Biden is going to help them. Someone like Joe Biden is going to be the savior, is going to be some antithesis to Donald Trump, when in reality they serve the same political corrupt corporate elite. They serve the same interests, same moneyed interests. So we need more people like Mike Gravel. Rest in peace to a legend. Rest easy, and we'll continue your legacy on.